guys. This is in Argentina. Love you hopping, Sin. Thank you, Cindy. Why don't you hop in, Sin? All right, let's get this show started here. If we can get this volume. All right, howdy, folks. Welcome back. I told you I would be back. All right, so here we go. This is January 2nd, 2025. All right, got to get used to saying 2025, not 24 anymore. All right, so here's your loop. Let's get this started. And while that's loading up, I'm going to take a moment to thank you guys for taking a moment of your time to be a part of this precious family. When you stick around to the end of this report and you make it through the spiritual report, you will indeed might catch on to how precious this family is and how precious you are to me. Okay? So thank you for your time. It's very important. Okay, 1, 2, 2, 5. Let's jump in. So not a lot going on today. You can see our Spire region still going on. We had this little moon or satellite activity going on, popping out right here, coming out. Oh, we got music playing in the background still there. There it goes. All right, so we'll go through this frame by frame. Just this one little satellite or one moon right there. Maybe a couple. You see other stuff kind of flowing inward right down here too, off to the sides. That means there's other stuff approaching the sun. We're going to see more of these things popping off here. All right, so let me scooch down, grab the opening frame, and start marching forward. You guys made it through another day. It's pretty amazing, especially what we're going through. So here we go. Opening frame 024. You see your Spire region, this large spread over on this side. You can see activity already going on over here. We're just going to start marching through this. Okay. Also, activity coming out of this region over here, out of these little spires. They act like little compass needles, and they point at a magnetic field, which draws plasma off the sun, pointing in their direction. Okay, still a little spitting and sputtering off to the left there. So we're just going to... Then we have this event off to the right. Okay, let's see if we can capture this one for you here really quick. All right. There's your object right there. Here, let's go full zoom. Let's get you as close as we can, just so you'll see before I point it out what's going on there. Our object seems to be smiling at us. Yeah, or it's like a 3-pack or whatever. It seems to be one bigger round object like this with a big old smiley face and some ears on it or whatever. So I'll let you be the judge of that, okay? You can come over to this instrument as well. Pull up this frame, but you can see it right there. It popped up. Let's get back to our regular size here really quick. Okay, so there you can see it. It popped up right there, and we'll go to the frame before. All right, so you can see it's this spheroid type object that's coming out of that region. Hi, it's me, peekaboo, and then out of frame. Peekaboo, out of frame. Peekaboo. All right, enough. Let's move on. Note this little guy flying through there on this screen over here, showing up a little bit over here too. So got this guy playing peekaboo. These dudes flying through there. And then another spherical object coming out. Ooh, there appears to be one right here too, with plasma flowing over it this way. See that one? Right here, there's something going on right there. Another dude peeking in there or something, maybe. Who knows? All right. There in the ghost image, you can clearly kind of see a couple of objects that look like side by side there. All right, so let's start the loop there again. Don't forget your little smiley face popping in at the end there as it comes up the side. Pretty fast, but it's there. So, okay, so there's your activity today, and some little face there smiling at us. All right, so let's get into the solar ham now. Okay, first off, starting at the top, our solar flux indice is at 212. We're down another 7 points, so it is declining. And at this rate, we might get out of the red in a day or two. So sunspot number count is up 24. Now, last night it was down, and I was telling you we still have activity approaching us. Watch for the sunspot number to go up. So here it is, up another 24 spots. We're up to 173, getting closer to the red zone again. Meanwhile, your area is in the green. Let's see how fluxed we are. Oh boy, are we fluxed. Goes X-ray flux, that is. Okay, swim pools, movie stars. Because I'm a hillbilly. All right. So pretty calm activity. You can see your average little here took a little step downward and then is continuing to decline here. So okay, that's okay, student. You can lurk. That's okay. Anyways, here we are. Here's our activity for today. It doesn't look too much like what we saw on the instrument, but this is in between us and the sun, not necessarily out to the side. So we could take a little peek at this. Doesn't look like much activity, but I know you guys don't want to, but we're going to take a peek anyways, because you never know what might be hiding behind curtain number 3. Okay, one little satellite there moving on. Did he just smile at us again? What was that? Okay. So just another little satellite moon, whatever object moving through that region. Okay, so not much to look at. All right, what we need to really talk about here is our geomagnetic forecast. All right, we just had a couple of G storms, geomagnetic storms, okay? And we had a G4 and a G1. See this little yellow spike right here? So we had a second little bump. It wasn't much. It was just a G1. Okay, so we've already had some energy hit us. We're clear for the third, but here we go on the 4th and 5th for G1 geomagnetic storming again. Okay, now this can enhance the weather sometimes too. Okay, so in our weather forecast, if we get our models tonight, we'll deal with that as well. Okay, meanwhile, X-flare potential 10%. You can see over here, they haven't updated this Aurora image since this event. So they kind of just froze this frame here so you could see your KP4 or your G4 storm event that was right there. Since then, it declined. We had a second little bump right there. Remember, we saw like a double impact on the spiral before, on the Enlil spiral. So there was your second little bump, and now we're done there. Everything's back down to beta gamma growing here, beta gamma neutral. So not much sunspot activity as far as beta gamma delta and X-flare potential. Now, below is a look at the visible solar disk on Thursday. Solar activity today had been moderate with low-level M flares detected, along with the numerous minor C flares. Okay, so the lone M flare was produced by AR 3936, now located behind the west limb. The new active region turning into the view is the northeast quadrant, numbered 3947, was the source of at least 6 minor C flares. AR 3945, located in the southeast quadrant, is also producing minor C flares. So there's 3938, 48. There's our new one, 3947, right over here that we'll have to watch. Okay, there's a little chart again. Let's open up the tracker, do some track lacking, since we are lacking the tracking. All right, so small little impulse going out that way. All right, not much to write home about, but it could sideswipe us a little bit there. And whatever object induced this could, pass by us and have, geomagnetic effects that are, stronger than predicted possible. Okay, not saying it's going to happen, but sometimes that's the case. All right, there's that tracker. This tracker not showing much at all. Okay, we can move on, can't we? What was the last little bit? Oh, just this cool little picture of this lady in a pink dress right here. Her head's up here, her arms are out. She's ready to go to the dance. She got her red dress on. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to come over here to this. Okay, so the next storm is coming. NOAA forecasters have issued a G1 class geomagnetic storm watch for January 4th and 5th, when a CME and a stream of solar wind are expected to graze Earth's magnetic field. Now, this should be a relatively minor event and much less intense than the severe G4 storm that we saw. Okay, well, they were expecting G1 or something, and it surprised there too. So, nevertheless, high-latitude skywatchers, especially near Arctic Circle, could get a show. Okay, now, not all those auroras were auroras. The real-time aurora gallery is full of photos from January 1st, severe geomagnetic storm. Now, take a closer look. Not all the auroras were actually auroras. And here's an example. This beautiful picture right here from New Zealand, taken by, where is it, Simon Evans? Okay, I turned around from shooting the aurora to find this red arc on display. So he was shooting auroras one angle, and behind him was this red arc right there. Okay, and what I want to do is we're going to pop this open here and you see the rainbows on the other side, on each side of it here? So there was more than just this arc in that picture. So we're going to open up this picture big time. Okay, you can see the glowing pink, yellow, beautiful effect over on this side. The same effect going on over here. Okay, and then we have this red arch. Okay, and maybe some of you can see it. Maybe you can't, but sure looks like somebody's hanging on a cross right there and got a crown of stars. Pretty cool picture. And then rainbow on that side and rainbow on this side. I think there's a little bit more going on in this picture than met the photographer's eye right there. But still beautiful. This red arch, this SAR, they call it, okay? And then you can see here what looks like Jesus being crucified, and he's got a crown of stars up here. And you can even see his heart. Where's the... Can we zoom in on this one? Oh boy, can we. All right. Let's see if we can capture the hearts right in here. See it right there. Pretty cool shot, dude. Really cool shot. The heavens proclaim his glory. And look at that. What a shot. Okay. So give homage to this and give homage to the guy who got the shot, who took this picture. Because that was quite a shot. Okay. SARS, these red arcs, okay, were discovered in 1956 at the beginning of the space age, and researchers didn't know what they were until unwittingly gave them the misleading name stable auroral red arcs, or SARS. In fact, SARS arcs are not auroras. Auroras appear when charged particles from the space rain down from particles from space rain down on the atmosphere, causing it to glow. SAR arcs are formed differently. They are a sign of heat energy leaking into the upper atmosphere from Earth's rising current system. Okay, a donut-shaped circuit carrying millions of amps around the planet. So when you look back, you see this red glow on the backside, and from his perspective, it looks like an arc. Okay, so this is like the backside of the storm right here. Everything's blowing past him on the front side, and when you turn around to your back, to your back is this red arc. That's why. Pretty cool capture. Really cool capture right there. A lot of stuff on display if you know what to look for. Okay, it really is. Okay, so we made it through that. Let's get on. You can come over here, read more about this stuff. It's a good article there. All right, now we're moving on to the Schumann, because the Schumann has been, well, Shoeing Man. Look at that. Okay, so we have had another bumpy roller coaster day, very intense, spikes, valleys. So one moment it's intense, another minute it's gone, then it goes intense, and then little cracks, little breaks like this, eruptions, volcanoes, earthquake activity, relieving pressure. So last night we were looking at this starting to form, then it took a break, and then today we had all this. Now it's tapering off. We didn't have much continuity. We had a little break right there. It actually kind of stopped for a second. Now it's going back to grinding a little bit, but very, very intense day of frequencies on your Schumann there. The core and the shell are just going to town, grinding on each other from all the space weather. All right, space weather hits the magnetic field. The magnetic field directs it to the poles. The poles then absorb it down to the core. The core, being metal, when heated, expands. It's spinning inside of a little shell, or its outer core. So when it expands outward into that outer core and starts to grind. That barrier closes up and we start grinding. So, and also an indication of pressure down below. Okay, so let's move on. Get that out of there. Let's go over to the School of Null. Null School, shall we? Okay, really quick, your tropical convergence zone still kind of split right through that region. Okay, got heat anomalies on the ocean floor causing that. We're going to go up higher in elevation to check out our storms and our vortex activity. Look how this storm is really kind of broadened out as far as the size of the vortex. Hasn't really moved across the ocean or anything, but it is kind of like spreading out. Meanwhile, we got another rotation growing out here, starting to funnel stuff again right up into the coastline, right up through this region again. I bet you something opened up on the ocean floor here. We got a different heat-cold configuration causing rotation here, and you can see there's a secondary rotation here and even something trying to grow up there. So this region become very active. We also got this big old storm rotating over here. Okay, just peeking around, looking at all different effects. We got this huge storm that we were looking at up here that was really funneling stuff through the inflow. Now it's kind of really concentrating stuff more on this edge over here. Okay, so there's some of the storm activity going on. We got a little vortex going on up here. Speaking of vortex, let's go and take a peek at our polar vortex, shall we? All right, as you notice, we got a rotation here and another rotation here. So there's three vortexes off, or, three vortexes altogether, two sub vortexes off of the main one. All right. Now it's shunted its center of rotation. Usually when it's just one, it's more centered. When you get these other ones, these other vortexes push it out of shape, shunt the center of rotation to a different part. Okay, and now you get different. Now you got your polar vortex dropping down into northern parts of Africa there. Also, look how it's coming down, splitting in half over America, right down the middle. When I say the country divided thing, it's like right down the middle, right there is your polar vortex, reaching all the way down here to Texas, and then you see your inflow that's coming into this area. If that fills in right there, do you see like a hedge of protection right there? Maybe not, but some people can see stuff. So there is your polar vortex. This is going to drive a lot of cold air down into this region, and then we're going to also entertain, severe weather when warm, moist air collides with this, okay? So there's your polar vortex. It's not really controlling our weather so much right now anymore. Let's go to your upper jet. Your upper jet stream is just wonky. It is all over the place. Look at this deep valley, bam, back up, all the way down here, splitting around something here. So it's just all over the place. And it's usually zonal. It used to just kind of go across the country. Now it's just got these peak valleys, all this stuff. So there's your upper jet. Let me get it more located right there. And then we're going to go down to the lower jet stream. Now you see this correlation here with the upper to the lower jet stream. Okay, this is where your storms usually ride, is on this jet stream, the lower jet. But not so much anymore, because we have, watch the difference in weather pattern now when I hit 850. This is our weather pattern. This is what's controlling our weather, not the lower jet. Okay, and you'll see when we do our thermals, you'll see this matching wind pattern on our thermal report tonight. Okay, so let's get into our particulates, the sandstorm report. Take off the wind. Come on over, take a peek. What's going on? Very intense plume going across Africa here, dissipating, spreading out all the way across the Atlantic, all the way across to South America, even like spreading over South America and stuff as well. Okay, there's a lot of particulates, a lot of sand, dust being kicked up, getting spread around the world. Storms pick it up like this and take it to upper latitudes. Okay, we got other regions over here. This big sandstorm that was coming down Saudi Arabia hit Oman and Yemen last night and is now going offshore. So now we have a sandstorm that's just blowing offshore, just kind of taking parts of Saudi Arabia, Oman, Yemen, and blowing them out into the ocean. Meanwhile, we got this going on over here. Okay, blowing all the way up into Siberia, all the way up to the North Pole. Pretty crazy. We have sand and dust particulates blowing around all the way up at the North Pole now. Okay, so we have particulates in the air all the way around the world. Crazy. Okay, moving on, shall we? Not to neglect Australia having their own little issues down there as well. Okay, here we go. Let's go into the SO2 report. This is sulfur dioxide, not carbon dioxide. This is basically vaporized magma coming up through the ground, through the pores and in the crust. Magma wants to come out, but it can't. It's too thick, so gas is escaping through these narrow canals in the crust of the earth. So here we go. country divided, bleeding out on one side, very spongy, porous crust. Meanwhile, over on this side, more rocky, mountainous granite. So any perforations are more volcanic in nature. There you go. Gas comes out of the ground so hot it sparks fires. So let's get to see if we have any fire activity at the moment. No, I don't see any around up there. Usually it's up in Canada. It had come down into the lower 48s this summer, but that activity seems to have quelled. All right, that's good. We can take the fires off. All right, now, you can see all these are like perforations, little bleeding out, little spots opening up. You got all kinds of SO2 coming out here, all your plumes here on America. Look at this little ridge going down right through there. All right, we come over here. Take that off there, please. You got Mexico and its volcanoes. You got Cuba, Jamaica, all these islands bleeding out SO2. These are all volcanic islands, and they can't spew. They're not exploding like volcanoes, but they are spewing SO2. All the way through South America, down through the West Coast. Here's our fulcrum point. On the plate boundary, we're coming here. This one's intensified. This one intensified since last night. This one's kind of smaller. It was this dark, but a little bit bigger in size. It actually kind of decreased in size, and these ones inflamed a little more. Our fifth one's not right there. So this one's taken over for the fifth one right there. So a little change up in configuration and pressure release right here. Okay. Meanwhile, very intense emissions through here, so much so that it puts a plume out into the Pacific Ocean, and we got a pretty healthy plume today. And on the Atlantic side, so good sign that pressure being relieved through this area, doing its best to relieve pressure. We're still seeing quake activity, but it keeps it magnitudes down. We're not seeing big old 8s and 9s on this plate boundary like we could be seeing at this juncture where we're at now. So thankfully the Earth has this like pressurized system where it's got its own little internal built-in system of relieving pressure. New sites open up. Here's Hawaii. It's got Oahu's emitting SO2. Meanwhile, Hawaii, the Kilauea going off right now. Okay, so relieving pressure in the hub of the Pacific Rim. Okay, much like a bicycle rim. Doop, boop, boop. Back up for them. Here's the bruise on the face of the planet right there, China. Okay, they have very porous crust too, so much so that they looked like they were having fissure activity opening up. And it wouldn't surprise me if they have methane emissions, like fissures opening up that are on fire, maybe somewhere in this region too. Okay, and not just isolated to the desert. That's where I still keep seeing this mountain face that slides away and jet flame, like blue flames just shooting out the side of a mountain over here somewhere. All right, over here you can see India following suit. Their gas pushes up against the Himalayas. It can't cross over, so it keeps recirculating around. Okay, meanwhile, we got the Middle East and Iran, Iraq, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, all the Middle East filling in here, even the Holy Land having SO2 emissions, okay, all through this region. Some of these sites are methane sites opening up, spewing methane that catches on fire when it hits the air. Okay. Just kind of looking around a little bit here. Yeah, plumes getting blown way up here to the North Pole. So we got SO2 emissions way up here too at the North Pole. So, okay, Europe bleeding out as well. Pockets of Africa where sand is just so deep and stuff that the gas can't get up through some of these regions. So, or old seabed body of water, the floor being compacted by the pressure of the water on top of it. Sometimes that happens too. Okay, here we are, Java. Java being one of our relief points here. You can see the plume being blown out into the straits a little bit tonight. So if you pushed all that back on there, it'd be a much darker purple. So we are seeing an uptick in pressure around the world here. And I want to see here, look at Taiwan. Look how dark theirs is. So yeah, an uptick in pressure here, especially this fulcrum point too. Look at North and South Korea. Feeling in just north of North Korea, they're getting a healthy spot right there. This is poisonous gas. It's not good. Okay, just stopping off down through here. You see all the little gas emissions through this island chain, or through the big island here. Then we have volcanoes all through this chain. We have our island right here, pencil-shaped island with two good emission sites. It's right next to our deep quake region here at Fiji. Fiji emitting SO2 as well. We have our home reef, that's new island that pushed up, a seamount that pushed up through the ocean surface, and now we have a new volcano, new island. Okay, and it's spewing SO2 as well. This relieving pressure as it comes into the plate boundary system, keeping magnitudes and quake activity down. Okay. All right, let's get into our sea surface temperature anomalies now. The ocean, the sea, the temperature anomaly. All right, here we go. Vents on the ocean floor causing hot water plumes. Okay, I want to come into this region right now and see. Okay, let me place our little marker. Well, marker should be a little more. Come here, you. A little more right there. All right, so that's where our plate boundary comes out. Let me get a little more better coloration here for you guys. All right, so just parallel with this white line where I've marked this little circle, that's the plate boundary for the Juan de Fuca. It zigzags and goes up through here. Right where this cold strip is right where like the plate boundary zigzags. Inside that is your Juan de Fuca plate, and we're seeing hot spots breaking out in the Juan de Fuca plate, okay? We also have heat building up all the way from up here, all the way along the coastline, coming all the way down past the Juan de Fuca into the Pacific plate here. We have this encroachment coming up to the Bay Area. It's encroaching more and more towards this region here, and this new little plume kind of reaching the shoreline here, and this is where the San Andreas runs down through this region, okay? So maybe watch out for an uptick in earthquake activity along this part, or along anywhere the San Andreas through there. Okay, we're starting to see this little pocket right here that flares up and then retreats. And now it's starting to get a little more, there's a little pocket of red growing in there. See that? So a little bit of pressure coming back up into this region. We could see uptick in magnitudes and earthquakes along that little structure, that eyeball type structure, as well as down through this region, through the lower part of the San Andreas. Okay. Take that off of there now. Meanwhile, this area has intensified. Okay, we got some openings here, or something's going on there. We're emitting a lot more heat. Something going on off the coast of Baja here. Okay, here's Tamumasi. Excuse me. Tamumasi and all the sea mounts around it. Okay, over by Japan here too. Out here north or east of Hawaii, west of Hawaii, sorry there. Also, here I want to talk about this. Look at this. So we're here at Taiwan, where your plate boundary, your fulcrum point is, right? And we have an opening on the ocean floor here and north of it too here. So these two spots, even all this right here, relieving pressure in this region right here, keeping magnitudes down in our plate and our fulcrum point area and activity down. We have SO2 emissions and then a new opening, or an opening, not new, but an opening that relieve pressure. Both of those do. And then look at this little site right off of this island here, flaring up on the coast of the Philippines here. Okay, we're coming down to Java. Java does a lot of relief of pressure through volcanoes and SO2, so it's allowing cold water inundation through this region because it's relieving so much pressure that it's not popping out of the ocean floor. Meanwhile, yeah, let's just kind of pull back a little so you can see. Okay. We got this region that's been doing its little thing for a minute there off the coast of Africa. Meanwhile, over here by the Canary Islands in off of Africa here, we got to watch out for this area. Ooh, look at that. Something going on right out here, huh? All of this whole area region of cold water, except for here's this area here, and you can see how it's been pluming and drifting this way. The warmer water been getting carried this way. Got a big old patch down there going on too. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on the winds. These winds are at the same 850 level where our weather, performs. Okay. What I want to do is put it right there and let those spirals play for a second. Okay, you can see your hot air rising, cold air rushing in to replace it. Then once the hot air rises, it cools off and descends, goes down to cold, back up to hot, back down to cold, back. Oh, look at that. We got vortex rotation going on because of heat and cold plumes, or heat plumes and cold water mixing together right next to each other. And now we have got this configuration. Something changed up here in this area, and now we've got rotation going again. And what it's doing is licking right up the west coast here, not so much going over into, Nevada, Utah so much, but look how it's just going right up the coast. So that whole area is going to be stuck in like the atmospheric river. And still this big old hedge, this big old dome of protection right there that's been going on for a while now, and for a reason. We got this region here in the Gulf. All right, right now cold air is pushing down so hard it's keeping that flow from coming up. So cold air can be good by pushing this activity south and keeping it out here in the oceans instead of, severe weather coming up through the country. But there's your flow for right now, and you can see it correlates with your heat anomalies. It's not following the jet stream, it's following your heat structures. So here's your conveyor belt vortex activity out in the Atlantic. Here, let's go over to the Indian Ocean. Okay, coming over to here. Look at this one going on down here. All right, so our weather is changed now. It's more dependent on the heat plumes, cold water, interaction, vortex rotation activity is controlling our weather now. Also, we had a very established La Nina, and it's being disrupted by these heat plumes down here. Okay, right on the equator, so they're keeping that the tropical convergence zone shunted just a little north up here instead of right at the equator. And we got some 1, 2, 3 good openings there. Look at stuff going off here along this. Oh, this is where the plate boundary comes in right here. We're having leakage out here on the plate boundary of South America too. That's relieving pressure in this region, keeping earthquake magnitudes down as well. You see this? Yeah, that's right along that plate boundary coming down through here. All right, let's get into our earthquake report now. Let me get rid of this. Come into here. Pull up the USGS. Oh, there was the quake results for the year tally. And there were, how many 4+ magnitude, how many 5 magnitude, and there's probably going to be a lot more 5s, but a list for 4.9s just beat it out. Okay, so here we are, deep quake region, Fiji, plate boundary beginning right through here. A lot of pressure gets pushed up to the surface right here and starts traveling through the crack system, right? Path of least resistance. So deep quake, bingo, you're 4.4 down at 502. That's our typical magnitude, mid-range 4 that we're used to seeing. So typical activity for right now. Meanwhile, we got this pumping out SO2, relieving pressure through this region, so keeping quake activity and magnitudes down. Over here, where we're starting to see SO2 emissions, we got a 5.4 at the surface here, a 5.0 down at 22. You see the zigzag plate boundary coming in right there. That's the very end of it right there. The end of the line. Bingo. And that's where the shallow one hits. So just off the plate boundary right there, we have the 5. It's down a little deeper on this little seamount feature, whatever's going on next to it right in this zone, rumbles this area enough to cause this 5.4 of stronger magnitude at the surface, right at the weak spot. Perfect little textbook setup right there. Coming in, we get a little pressure on the island, 4.2. This is a whole volcanic ridge running down the length of that island. So that's on the flank of this volcanic ridge. Indication of pressure down below. Let's go north, shall we? Nothing over here, but at this side we have a 4.8 at the surface here by Guam, relieving pressure there at the surface. That's good. Nothing as far as fulcrum point activity. Remember, we saw the opening here at Taiwan and the strong emissions of SO2. So thus, no quake activity. Going up here, 4.5 at the surface, 4.7 at the surface. So we got energy being relieved along this plate boundary right there today. Come over through here. You see Java really quiet because of all the cold water inundation, volcanic and SO2 emissions, relieving pressure, keeping quake activity down. Over here to fulcrum point 5.0, that's down at 159 because we have very different type terrain over here. Okay. You can see this arc in the plate boundary. This region has been pushing this direction for a long time, right? And it's built up these pressure waves out in front here, much like snow builds up in front of a shovel, okay? So that's your structure and the way pressure pushes into this region. It can't release on the plate boundary, so it gets backed up. It's trying to release at any kind of point along here. This is all locked up, so it's looking for a weak spot. It's looking for a weak spot. Well, look at here. Here's an old volcano. Here's your plate boundary right in between them. Your 5.0 down at 159. This is an old volcano covered in grass and dirt, or in jungle. So the flank of this volcano here, something's waking up in that area. Something's pushing up underneath this volcano. It can't pop out, so it's striking a quake instead. Okay, very quiet through that whole region. Meanwhile, up here in China, 4.9 at the surface. Okay, remember what we do with 4.9s here? Sometimes we have to. You can be the judge of that. All right, I'm looking at this whole little mountain. Look at all these faults that run through there. So very, very, look at these deserts with the dunes out here. So right in between the desert and this little green valley, this little pocket right here, there's this mountain that comes up through there. Something going on right in there. All right. right, we need to come on over here to Africa, where we're still seeing a lot of activity around these little volcanoes over here now, with a 5-0 at the surface there, 4-5, 4-7, bunch of mid-range 4s, 4-9, so a couple of 5s and a bunch of mid-range 4s today, all around this little volcanic field right here. Okay, we got this little volcano right there, old dormant volcano. Used to be a channel, used to be a pathway of least resistance, and magma came up through here. Well, now that magma solidified, has plugged it up, and now underneath this, pressure wants to come up through this region. This is plugged up, so it's rattling all these other little weak spots around it. Oh, boy. You got to watch out for quake activity next to an island in a body of water like this, because if you shake the foot of this island, this is all water inundated sand underneath it. Remember when you go to the beach and you dig down 10 feet, 5 feet, 10 inches, however, there's water. So here, this island, if you dig down 10 inches, you're going to hit water. So underneath this land that's sticking up is water inundated sand. You start shaking that, it's going to turn to jello. It's going to go liquefaction and slough and fall away. So we got to watch out for activity next to little islands like this. And something big strikes right there. It could really, so you got an old crater right here, this crater right here, this. This is almost an old crater right here. It's because it's all deep. This little island probably a little upthrust from a previous volcano in there. Yeah, I think we're looking at our third volcano right there that filled in with water. I'll let you be the judge of that. It doesn't have a very strong rim around it, but then you look at how shallow some of these other rims are. That could happen. Filled it up with water. All right, we got to watch this region carefully because a lot of activity going on. And if, say, that is a volcano and it exploded, it would send a bunch of water vapor into the air too. All right, now over here at our fulcrum point, it's trying to do its best to pump out a lot of the pressure in this region. But here we have a 6-1 down at 99. Now this area is thicker stuff in the crust, so we get our surface area quakes are a little deeper in this region. Now I want to take you right back to where we were just talking about. Lately, we've had this new inundation of heat pressure in this area, haven't we? Right here at the fulcrum point here and right in this area. And look where this hit. Right there in that area. So we got our SO2 emission site, our fulcrum point right here, plate boundary, and we have all kinds of heat building up in this area. And now we're starting to see an uptick in magnitude. Okay, now this is a 6-1. It's down at 99. This is like the activity that we're trying to avoid. Okay, this just relieved a lot of pressure as well down at 99. So hopefully that will keep some of the magnitude down for a little while. But we do have that heat encroaching in that area, so we might see continued activity for a while. I don't know. We'll continue to watch this, but you can see that red area right in there. So OBZRB, a stormy night. Yes, stormy night it is. All right, really quick down here, 5-5 down at 135. This is your volcanic island chain right through there. Okay, you're seeing a 5-5 on the flank of a volcano, indication of pressure down below. Okay, let's do all magnitude America. All right, coming on in, nothing at the plate or at the fulcrum point tonight. So many volcanoes going off in this region. Okay, relieving pressure there. Meanwhile, as we come into our volcanic island chain through here, 4-2 down at 41, 3-8 at the surface right there, 3-7 across the street, 3-6 just down the street right here. All of these in this volcanic chain are indications of pressure, or pressure, returning, shaking that place. Coming over and down through your Juan de Fuca. Very quiet through the Juan de Fuca today. Nothing at the fulcrum point or inside the plate. Okay. Just a couple of little mouse farts up here at Rainier. Okay. A couple of little small ones on the flank of Rainier. There's another one at the top of, what's this one? Lassen? I think so. That's a Mount Hood. Okay, coming on in through this area, just really minimal activity, very small. Current magnitude 1.6 is there. These are all small, not even worth checking. So that area up at the fulcrum point kind of quieted down. Meanwhile, over here in this Yerington new path of least resistance spot, they still had quakes today. They're not very big. 1.4. Yeah, these are all just under 2. Okay, but still activity there. Okay, a little bit around Tahoe here. What was that? Okay. Coming on down, you can see activity down by Mammoth. Really quiet. Really quiet through this region. Oh, excuse me. Really quiet through that region. So quiet it needs a nap. All right, forgive me there. But we got to watch out. We have that increasing pressure in this region, so we're going to have to watch for a little uptick in activity in here, okay? Also, we see a little encroachment in pressure and temperature in this region, so watch out for an uptick in activity and magnitudes in here. Current activity is 1.1, so they're very low right now. What was that one? Right on the plate boundary there. No, that one. 2.6, okay. And then down here, we had a little flurry of quakes that relieved pressure, but just 2.3, nothing too magnitude down there. Okay, that's good. That's good. We don't want a bunch of big quakes. All right, all quiet through there. Let's come on over to Oklahoma. Man-made perforations in the crust. We all understand how that goes, right? You got to get oil somehow. 2.6 magnitude is the biggest one around. Current activity is 1.5. So not too bad around there. Nothing in Oklahoma. Nothing around the New Madrid or up through the Craton today. So that's good. Okay, you can see it's kind of quieter today around the region. 3.1 is your magnitude check in that region. That's low, actually. We've been seeing a higher average than that, so it's kind of low. This guy kind of stole all the energy for the area right there. Okay, so we're going to have to watch out for a little bit of increased activity around this region now. We're already seeing it, okay? So hopefully that'll relieve some of the pressure for a minute, but we're going to have to continue to watch because this is a day old. Let me take the wind off there. This is yesterday's map. It's a day behind because it takes so long to compile all the data. So, but watch out for. We had a big quake in this region before, or South America, not too long ago, and we see an increase in heat. This is our biggest blob, is right there. So, we've seen a big one right here. Watch out for something, not necessarily a big one, but some activity in that spot right there, because that's where we've seen other activity before, and that's what's matching up with this. That's why I say that. Okay. Not trying to predict it. I'm just showing you what I see. Observing. Okay. Think we covered it all, didn't we? Sure enough. Let's get into our volcano report. Whitetail 7, there you are. I haven't seen you in a while, darling. Good to see you again. All right, volcanoes. Let's get into it. 38 erupting and 36 in warning. That's 74. We just had another one added. Because last night I said 73. Now, let's get this really quick here. I want to make sure that's it right. 38 currently erupting and now 36 in warning. So 74 altogether active volcanoes. Now, 7 years ago when all this started happening to me, if I had told you 7 years from now we're going to have 74 active volcanoes, you would have said you're crazy. Well, here we are 7 years later, and we got 74 active volcanoes, and I am still crazy about you. Earthquake after earthquake after earthquake after earthquake. Sakurajima, 7,000 feet. Ibu, I be with you at 7,000 feet. Luatobi, 7,000. Semeru, 15. Okay, Semeru on Java, the main vent right there on Java, has been 14. It pushed a new record to 15 the other day. We saw 16 out of it. Yesterday it was at 14. Now it's back to 15. So an uptick in pressure. You can see uptick in height at Semeru is like a good gauge. Good consistent performer every day, similar activity. So when you see little fluctuations from 14 to 15 to 16 back down to 14, those are good indications of the variations in pressure from down below. And we're seeing a slight uptick. Popocatépetl going off at 19,000. Another one, Popocatépetl, not always going off, but when we do see an uptick in pressure, it gives out a pretty healthy blast. So Popocatépetl, 19,000. Fuego, 14. Nevada del Ruiz, 19. Okay, all these ones that are above 10,000 feet, it takes a lot of pressure to push that up there. Sangay, 20. Reventador, 15. Caliqui, here's our new one. Unable to detect. It's at Buenos Aires. All right. We'll look into more of that. Now, Fentali, or fentanyl, in Ethiopia, that's that little volcanic feature that we were looking at in Africa. "30 houses have been destroyed by recent quakes." Okay. That's just in the last few minutes. Here's today, which is now yesterday, because, well, time flies at this channel. I am telling you, time flies at this channel. Okay, there is the map of insanity. Those are all active volcanoes. The red ones are currently in eruption. The yellow ones are active. There's more red than yellow. Should be the other way around. Should be more yellow than red. So we have more currently erupting than just regular activity. Okay, meanwhile, all these on the Kamchatka, we got all this activity through this chain, relieving pressure, keeping magnitudes down there. Also, here's your fulcrum point at South America. You got Ubinus and Sabancaya. All right, cool. Come over, take a look at this map. Stromboli and Etna going off. They've been going berserk. Stravinsky going berserk. All these volcanoes have been going a little crazy lately. Okay, there's Sakurajima. Sorry, I want to get to the heights. These pictures are boring. There we go. That's what a seamount pushing up through the ocean, creating an island. And then another eruption, lava flows down the flank and the island gets bigger. Karaminsky, there's a big eruption out of that today. Where's the height? All right, well, Shivalush also going off in the Kamchatka, 300-year rise. I want height. The Kamchatka Volcanic Response Team reported that eruptive activity at Shivalush continued during the 12th through the 19th. Okay. Vizimani and the Kamchatka. All those are all still going off. Sakurajima, 7,000 feet. Canaleon, unreported. Taal in the Philippines. Okay. Luatobi, 9,000. Merapi, probably 12 to 1,500 meters above the summit. Okay, Semeru, 16,000. Look out. There's a 16. So we had a 16,000 foot blast out of Semeru earlier today, and then another 15 just a few minutes ago. Oh, all kinds of good details about that one. But we don't have time to really read through all that. You can come over here and read through this stuff if you want. I'm just kind of Dukono, 8,000. White Island, more detailed reports. Kilauea is still going off. Okay, Home Reef Island, the effusive eruption at the island continues. The lava continues to ooze out from the summit vent towards the north-northeast, enlarging the new lava delta. As the lava advances, it expands the island's size, as observed in the attached Sentinel-2 time-lapse. That's what we were looking at before. The island grew by at least 1,000 square meters between the 7th and the 12th of December. Wow. The new lava had covered approximately 75,000 square meters by December 15th. Popocatépetl, 20,000 foot. So it was 20 earlier today and then 19 just a little while ago. So it's had 2 blasts, pretty good height. Santa Guido, 14. Fuego, 14. Okay. Look at this. Strong explosives were recorded by infusion rates of 6 to 10 per hour. Moderately strong explosions, 6 to 10 per hour. Wow. Nevada del Ruiz, Reventador, 14,000. Sabancaya, 159 earthquakes associated with magma. Whew. Okay. This guy's got a drinking problem. He needs to take a break from the oil. All right, so there is your volcano report. All right, now hopefully we can have some tidbits tonight. And I didn't refresh it right before I get to it. I like my tidbits. I know you guys like models, but these are forecast models. All right, cool. They're all there. So coming up is this big storm, ice storm everybody's been warning about. Now finally people are taking notice and doing due diligence to warn this region. So here we go. Current conditions, a little bit of severe weather coming along the coast here. I showed you that new vortex rotation going on out there, so we're going to see an uptick in activity on the west coast. So morning of the 3rd, severe weather along the coast. Noon, convection. Nighttime, morning of the 4th. Okay, here we go. Here's this low sitting in Utah on the morning of the 4th. It jumps down to New Mexico by noon, and then the ice comes by afternoon. That's the nighttime. Morning of the 5th, noon. Ice at noon. High noon, it's going to be an ice storm. That's crazy. Then as we get into convection, you're seeing these little quasi-linear bands coming up through the comma shape of this storm. See how it's wrapping up and getting organized here? These little comma shape, or these QLCSs, could cause some spin-ups, okay? Not necessarily a big tornado outbreak, but the possibility for spin-ups is there. So you're going to have tornadoes possible, large hail, high winds, icing, snow, blizzard conditions, possible thunder snow. All the weather conditions are possible in this event right there. It's really a conglomeration of all the weather put together. I'm wondering what's going to happen in the very heart of this, where all this cold, intense, and moisture all meet. You might get a really strong tornado up there or something at the tip. We'll see. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But there's your convection of the 5th. Now that's pretty much set in stone. Not set in stone, but we're very close to this. And these models keep running the same, very similar event. So there's your nighttime the 5th, going into morning of the 6th with chances of severe weather still. It's going to be a lot of ice and not deep ice, but thick ice, okay? And it'll take out power lines and tree limbs. Boy, that's going to be a nasty event all through that whole section right there. And that's our next main weather event that everybody should be concerned about. You got family and friends in that area, warn them. If you are in that area, take precautions. It's going to be cold. It's going to be miserable. In an ice event like this, it's going to be hard to go outside and travel because everything's just, you can't drive on ice. Especially this region doesn't have very good snow removal. People don't have studded snow tires and chains and stuff. So there's going to be a lot of accidents on the road, blocking roads. So this is a time to go get your supplies and just hunker down during this event. I would just sit there and hunker down. I wouldn't even try going out and traveling or doing anything from like right here, going into this event through that region until it passes, and then come out and chip away the ice. Okay, nothing else really going on till we get down to now right here. We're at the morning of the 9th. This is a little further out. This is still 6 days away, but we got cold air descending all the way down the Rockies, clear down into Mexico here. And when these latest model runs are still kind of all agreeing that we're going to see some kind of deep cold trough event down here. And this is our hot spot where we see, here's our hot spot right there. That's where this cold air is going to induce this moisture to, whoops, oh no, why did I do that? Don't want the autograph, thank you. I just want to, I have to go all the way back to that scene there. Okay, you see how this cold air coming back down into there again hooks up and we get an ice storm. It's possible a little bit of icing down into Mexico. Okay, so that's how deep south this trough is digging. Okay, so you're starting to see ice down there in Mexico. All right, and if this trough digs down that deep by, say, well, right there. Yeah. Okay, so you're going to see icing in Mexico and Texas. Then by convection there, that's when it's really going to be going across Texas, Louisiana. You're going to see snow, ice. Very intense there, too, for a while. Into Mississippi, Alabama. Oh, dear. Through Georgia. Up into South Carolina. Oh, no. Oh, boy. All right, because this is, you thought these people aren't prepared for ice. Well, even further south, they have less snow removal equipment and less prepared for icing events like that. Wow. So we're in wintertime, and this area keeps drawing up moist plumes of air because we got that hot spot there. And any kind of cold air that's coming over that ridge, coming down the backside of the Rockies, hooks up with that and is now inducing this new kind of weather in the south. And look at this ridge running way down into Texas, New Mexico. There's icing again. Nighttime of the 17th. Oh, are you kidding? This is the 18th. This is not a Cobb. This is like a repeat. This isn't the same run. Way down in icing on the coast and in Florida. That is nuts. That's the last frame right there, but oh boy, look at that cold air reaching all the way into Texas and another icing event, two of them back to back possibly there. Okay, let's pray that that doesn't happen, but we're starting to see with this correlating in this rotation here. Let me put that wind back on there, please. Can I have that? Okay, cold air coming down. Boom, we got Arctic air also getting mixed into it. And there's your cold, and there's your warm, moist producer right there. So icing in that region for a while. That's going to be rough on those people. So everybody in this region, you might have a couple of storms going through their icing storms, all right? And it could, take out some infrastructure for a while, and you guys could be without power for a while. And also along the West Coast here, now that we have this configuration back again, I would watch out for your atmospheric river events going up along the coast right through that region. Okay, so those are your two bands of area to watch for your weather. Okay, don't need to be scared, just prepared. So icing event up here, icing event here, then one down here. Coming up, one down there, and another down there. Wow. See how these cold air blasts keep meeting up with the moist air down there? It's just like over and over. They meet, they kiss, they make little babies, and then move out. They meet. Oh, almost met there. Here they come. They kiss, make another ice storm, and move on out. So that's the pattern we're kind of stuck in for a little while here. So everybody brace for this kind of activity. You might, if you live in Texas, you might want to go invest in an ice chipper. They can chip up the ice on your driveway. Meanwhile, this region up here in the west is going to have a little bout of storm after storm after storm as moisture gets thrown up into that region as well. Okay, that's it for your astrophysics, geophysics, your weather. And let's do our metaphysics, our spiritual report. Okay, here we go. Pull up something for the show. Guys are doing good. Probably felt a little funky today, but that's okay. You made it to this part. Okay, so as you see here, these are all images that were taken on April 17th of 2020. Real pictures, you guys. Here, let's just pop one open, shall we? Okay, let's even kind of give you the idea how big this face is. These are mountains going up into the Sierras. This is a highway running along a mountainside going up into the mountains, the Sierras. So that's how big that face is in the sky. And you can barely make it out when you're standing there. It's not until when you compress it and zoom out that it becomes a little clearer. And you can make out the crown a little better too. Okay. So there's that for reading too. We got a couple of other images we're going to do tonight. Oh, let's see. Coming on over. Oh, the meteor report channel going off. All right. Whoopsie. We'll go right there. We were going to go to this picture. You guys are probably getting tired of the same old pictures, but I got to do it in case we get newcomers. I think you guys understand how that works. So, just really quick. And I noticed something forming in the clouds, what looked like a face over here. And I'm going to start zooming in on, there we go. I want to capture that part right there. Okay. All right, so we got that. We got this one, and well, we got the one by the moon, but we could do something different. Let's go Google. Let's do a different one out of this gallery. Where's the favorites? Can you guys see that lion's face right there? I think you can. All right, cool. So we got some images to read too. We can get that one out of there now. All right, good enough. Cool, and that one. All right, cool. Let me get my light going here. Let's see, what's going to start with here? Okay, so at this point of the show, we have seen a lot of disturbing stuff, and this stuff might seem disturbing too, but it shouldn't disturb you when you realize that you're a member of a very important family, okay? A royal family. So we've been practicing, like, using this as your tool to kind of take your thoughts off of your circumstances sometimes so you can regain your composure, right? So the more often you turn your thoughts to me, the more often you will enjoy my perfect peace. Now, this is a challenging goal, but it's also a glorious gift. I, the shepherd of your soul, am always accessible to you, so you can train your mind to turn from other things and focus on me. When you experience something beautiful, thank me for it. When a loved one brings you joy, remember that I am the source of this pleasure. But post reminders of my presence in your home, your car, or your office. It's also wise to memorize scripture since it's ultimately about me. So turning your thoughts to me demonstrates your trust in me. Okay, again with the trust. When you turn your thoughts to me, that's demonstrating your trust in me. Okay? You can train your mind to turn from other things and focus on me. So, turning your thoughts demonstrates your trust in me. Even undesired things such as pain and problems can be reminders to communicate with me. Focusing on my presence protects you from getting stuck on problems and going over and over them in your mind without making any progress. Okay? We have this bad habit of going over stuff over and over in our mind and never making any progress. It's a bad habit that we all have. Okay? And I'm trying to free you from that and break you from going over and over stuff in your mind. So when that happens, that's when you need to focus on my presence, because focusing on my presence protects you from getting stuck in these problems. So a lot of times you got different ways of refocusing your attention. So you got to be creative in finding new ways to turn your thoughts towards me. Thus, you can enjoy the wondrous gift of my peace. Okay? And it's coming in handy now, isn't it? For you guys, it is. People who haven't figured it out, starting to suffer. Okay, another thing here, you might be feeling a little afraid, okay? And it's weird because there's no fear involved, right? But you're still feeling afraid. So listen closely here. It is possible for my followers to be joyful and afraid at the same time. Okay, because you're not afraid, you're joyful and afraid. It's a combination now instead of just fear. You're joyful fear, joy fear. You could make it a new term, joy fear. Okay, because now it's no longer just single fear. So it is possible for my followers to be joyful and afraid at the same time. Because when an angel told the woman who came to my tomb that I had risen from the dead, they were afraid yet filled with joy. They were afraid because what? He did what? That's paranormal. That's what makes you a little afraid. But when they figured out what had happened, that filled them with joy. So they were afraid yet filled with joy. It is possible for my followers to be joyful and afraid at the same time. Okay? It is possible. It's a joyful fear. Okay? It's called respect. Yeah. So do not let fear keep you from experiencing the joy of my presence. It is not a luxury reserved for times when your problems and the cries of the world seem under control. My loving presence is yours to enjoy today, tomorrow, and forever. Okay? It's to be enjoyed. So don't give in to joyless living by letting worries about the present or the future weigh you down, because that's what everybody's doing right now. They're 2 days into 2025. Oh my God. And they're into the joyless living already. 2 days into the year and they're already joyless living. But don't give in to that joyless living by letting the worries of the present or the future weigh you down. Instead, remember that neither the present nor the future, nor any powers, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate you from my love. So talk with me about your fears, expressing your thoughts and feelings freely. Relax in my presence and entrust all your concerns to me. Then ask me to bless you with my joy, which no one can take from you. Okay? No one can take it from you. You might be plugged into the mainstream media too long, so unplug sometimes and relax in my presence and entrust all your concerns to me, because it's possible for my followers to be joyful and afraid at the same time. Okay? Kind of countercultural what you've been taught, huh? But it's still true. Now, let my consolation, my comfort, bring joy to your soul. See, this is comfort in the darkness. Okay? My consolation is my comfort. Okay? And let this comfort bring joy to your soul in these darker times. And when anxiety is welling up within you, come to me and pour out your heart, and then sit quietly in my presence while I comfort you, helping you see things from my perspective. I remind you of your heavenly destination, for you are indeed on your way to glory. You're going from glory to glory to glory in your tribulation right now. I infuse my joy and peace into your heart, mind, and soul. Okay? I remind you of your heavenly destination, and I infuse my joy and my peace into your heart, mind, and soul. So when you are joyful, this changes the way you view the world around you. And even though you see much darkness, you can also see the light of my presence continuing to shine. I should have put on a big face one, but never mind. Now it's no good. There we go. Go that one. I remind you of your heavenly destination. I infuse my joy and peace into your heart, mind, and soul. And when you're joyful, this changes the way you view the world around you. That's what you need to do, is change the way you view the world around you. It's supposed to be darkness. You're in a fallen world. So when you accept that you're in a darkened world, it's not that hard. Even though you see much darkness, you can also see the light of my presence continuing to shine. So the joy in your soul gives you buoyancy, enabling you to rise above the countless problems in your life. Okay. This joy gives buoyancy. You feel like you're walking on water. You're enabled to rise above the countless problems in your life. Problems that you never thought you'd overcome. You were like, wait, I overcame it. How did that happen? And then there's other stresses that you're dealing with while you're still buoyancy. You're balancing, you're doing this miraculous balancing act, aren't you? Think about it. When you guys go out each day, aren't you doing this miraculous balancing act of buoyancy that enables you to rise above your problems? That's walking on water, baby. That's the buoyancy that enables you to rise above your circumstances. Once you've gained this perspective, you'll discover that you can comfort others in the midst of their troubles. They will find in you the consolation that you have found in me. Thus, your joy becomes contagious. Did you know that? Did you know your joy becomes contagious, infecting those around you? You've infected those around you with joy? Oh dear. You're contagious. You're infecting those around you with joy in their souls. Oh boy, we have an outbreak of joy. Imagine that. Even in these dark times, you can have an outbreak of joy. It is possible. Okay, and then we'll close with this, because you find joy in me, for I am your strength. It is vital to keep your joy alive, especially when you're in the throes of adversity. So whenever you're struggling with difficulties, you need to guard your thoughts and spoken words carefully. If you focus too much on all the things that are wrong, you will become increasingly discouraged and your strength will be sapped. But as soon as you realize that's happened, stop this hurtful process. Turn to me, ask me to help you with your struggles. Take time to praise. Speak or sing words of worship, read scriptures. All that'll help you rejoice in me. And remember that your problems are temporary. Your problems are temporary, but I am eternal. And so is your relationship with me. Okay? So keep reminding yourself that your problems are temporary, but I am eternal, and so is your relationship with me. We just started to get to know each other. This is going to be an eternal relationship. You got nothing but glory coming towards you. You can find joy in me because I am your strength. If you're finding strength through this process and I am your strength, then you do find joy in me. You're following, you're here watching, following, studying everything I do because you find that strength. You're getting strength from this show, and it brings joy in your circumstances, doesn't it? Takes you away from your problems of the world for a while, makes them look minuscule compared to your victory. Compared to your victory that's guaranteed, you just keep plugging along, you guys. You're doing just fine. The rest of the world needs to grasp these concepts, and so they'll have the tools to, for their tribulation as they go through their trials in their lives, right? Everybody has their own little specially unique trial in this life, okay? Some people say, why does he allow suffering and all this to happen? Well, that's their unique trial, not yours. So if you quit worrying about the rest of the world's flaws and things that are going on there and just focus on yours and keep your side of the street clean, and you try to work your program the best you can, it's progress. It's only perfection when you include Jesus in it, okay? That's how you find perfection. You're making progress. You want perfection. Add Jesus into everything that you do, and you will overcome your situation, your circumstances. When you overcome the world, that's a glory, almost like a victory, right? So that's called a glory. And when you overcome the world, you receive a glory, and then you overcome again. That's another glory. Overcome again. That's another glory. And you are going from glory to glory to glory in your tribulation. Other people are freaking out and losing their minds and mowing people down in their cars. Meanwhile, you're smiling and trying to help your neighbor. Oh, you guys are doing awesome. I don't know why I barked at you guys. You're still here at the end of the show. I'm just so thankful that you guys are finding the relief, the peace, the strength, the hope that comes from this, everything that comes from this. Security, your foundation, all your questions answered. And then when you start asking other questions, think about it. Are they really even significant compared to this? Is the sky blue? What does it matter if the sky is blue compared to this? There are some stuff that are worth investigating and worrying about, or thinking about, and there's other stuff that's just mindless drivel. And we got 90% of this world in mindless drivel. There ain't no productivity going on except killing each other. So we got to get these people back on the right page. Get them before you got to help them save themselves from themselves. That's hard to do, but when you bring joy and positivity into somebody's life and their adversity, they will see what you have and they will want it too. And that's where you just teach them the scriptures in the Bible and give patience and tolerance with them, because people can't grasp these concepts right away. Another thing that's I keep hearing is it's easier to be, well, how does it go? It's easier to be tricked than convinced that you have been lied to. It's easier to be lied to than, I forget how. I'll have to write it down again. But this is the case. Everybody is so quick to believe the news and the lying media and won't believe their own eyes. Again, the one guy said, I couldn't believe it until I saw it on the news. Well, therein lies the problem. That person has let the media become their teacher, their gospel, when it's the real gospel is the Bible. Okay. So I think that's it for tonight. I'm getting loopy. I gotta get going. So I love you all. I miss you all. This is the real deal. You guys are part of a very exclusive royal family. When you see this in the clouds, when you see this image, you see a face here with a crown over it. If you see that, that's me coming in the clouds with power and great glory. It's fascinating. It's intriguing. You get caught up in it. It takes you away from your circumstances for a while. You are caught up with me in the clouds, where I've provided a spot here at YouTube that where I am, you may be, and we meet in the air of cyberspace. I can't come over to your house and give you a hug, but I sure can meet with you in the air of cyberspace, can I? Anywhere around the world, any member of this family, I can meet with them in cyberspace. Pretty easy. They can see me coming in the clouds with power and great glory, and they get courage and hope and strength. And you are doing the same thing that I'm doing here. You're bringing that same courage, hope, and strength into other people's lives. The more you do that, the stronger you get, the more victories you have, the more notches in your belt, the more confidence you will have as you continue down your path. And then little treasures will pop out of the woodwork at you, and you will just address each one and help each person as you can, the best you can. It's not performance related, it's being willing to help your brothers, your sisters, being willing to help them understand what's going on, because they think it's all, the media's got everybody jacked up right now, and they got them all thinking the wrong way. So they're going to be losing their marbles, thinking they're all scared, when you will be solid as a rock. You'll have a foundation in which you're going to say, hey, it's all good. It's all for a reason. And what are you talking about? And you'll say, well, Jesus is real. And this is all because of this and the Bible, and they'll be able to find relief in their moment of adversity. Okay. It's the real deal. And when you walk this path, you find a peace in your life that transcends your circumstances, and you find a courage that you're willing to take on situations that you would have usually run from. Now you're willing to walk through them with Jesus and have victory. Okay. That's it. I love you guys. I miss you guys. This is a real show. Until my next show, I will be back. I'm a man of my word. I said I would be back. I am already back. And my family can tell. My followers know my voice. And another they won't follow. That's it for tonight. I love you all. Until the next show, bye. I'll be back.